YouTube, and every platform, podcast platform, streaming platforms. I am an author, currently writing and working on 2 albums. And I feel like there's something else that I do. So yeah, basically a lot of my work revolves around uplifting Black, African, queer, LGBTQ voices.
Well, thanks for the introduction, and we'll be chatting in a few minutes, but we're going to be starting with Professor Namita. Professor Namita, welcome. Please introduce yourself, tell people what you do.
Yeah. My greetings to everyone. I'm Professor Dr. Namita Rajput. I'm a professor in Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. Almost like 32 years I've been teaching. And allow me to introduce myself in this realm also. I'm a very passionate transgender activist dedicated to advocate for acceptance, awareness, and equality for transgender individuals. And through my advocacy work, actually, I strive to foster a more inclusive society where transgender people are respected, understood, and celebrated for their authentic identities. And also, as a researcher, I delve into the intricacies of the transgender experiences, exploring the multifaceted aspects of the gender identity and challenges which are faced by the transgender individuals and the societal factors that influence their lives. So, by conducting the rigorous studies and contributing to the growing body of knowledge, I actually aim to provide the evidence based insights that inform the policies, programs, and the practices aimed at improving the lives of the transgender people. And in addition to it, I also conduct the acceptance and awareness workshops, and these workshops serve as transformative spaces where I engage with diverse audience, including the educational institutes, the workplaces, and the community organizations. And through these interactive sessions, discussions, educational presentations, and sharing my own personal journey, I strive to foster empathy, challenge the misconceptions, and promote and understand the transgender identities. So, my workshops provide individuals with the tools and the knowledge needed to become effective allies and advocates for the transgender right. And furthermore, I'm very proud to make more contributions to the field of higher education through my work as an editor. My collaborating with other experts in the field, I have had the privilege of shaping and amplifying the transgender voices and perspectives in academia also. So there was a book which was released last year from America by IGI Global that was on the contemporary issues of the global transgender community. So, and also I'm working with the advocates and the cisgender who are actually joining their hands together to make the lives of the transgender better. So I also work on the transgender rights and play a very vital role in making their lives easy, which is less challenging. So that was all about me.
Well, welcome. I have been an ally to our trans non-binary siblings for many years. So I organised and delivered the world's first boxing competition for the LGBTQIA plus community. Now we have so many allies within the LGBTQ plus community. How do you think cis people can be better allies and help understand and support our trans siblings? You're on mute.
So a very good question. The cisgender individuals can actually play a very crucial role as an ally for bisexual, pansexual, and other non-monosexual individuals within the LGBTQ plus community. And I would be telling you the ways and the means to my knowledge. First of all, we need to educate ourselves. And we should take all the initiatives to educate ourselves about the experiences, challenges, and the issues faced by bisexual, pansexual, and non monosexual individuals. We need to actually read books, articles, resources written by and for these communities, and we'll have a better understanding of their unique struggle and needs. And also, we should listen and validate, actively listening to the experiences and the perspectives of the bisexual, pansexual, and non monosexual individuals without any judgment and assumptions. So we need to validate their feelings and struggles and believe their stories. And by creating a safe space for them to actually share their experiences, and we can actually amplify their voices by doing so. We need to be also mindful about the language we use, and that is definitely going to be very inclusive. We need to avoid some assumptions about someone's sexual orientation and actually don't assume that everyone is heterosexual. We need to respect and use the preferred pronouns and gender neutral language when appropriate. So, this inclusivity will actually help and create a more welcoming environment for such community. And also, the organizations which support LGBTQ, we need to actually show the support by actively engaging with and supporting such organizations and initiatives that actually focus on the specific needs of non-monosexual individuals, bisexual, and then gay community, etc. So this can actually include attending the events, donating your volunteering, and participating in advocacy efforts. And by contributing to these organizations, we can actually create some resources and spaces that actually address the unique concerns of such community. And also, we talk about we need to actually, there is one more challenge about the mental health and the wellness. So we need to understand that bisexual, pansexual, and other types, they may face unique mental health challenges due to biphobia, panphobia, and other aspects. So we need to support their mental well-being by advocating for access of inclusive and affirming the mental health services also. And also we need to bystand with them in terms of the legislations and the policies. And also we need to foster some inclusive relationship and friendships. So if you actually, create a inclusive spaces within your personal relationship by actively seeking out and building the friendship with the individuals who identify as bisexual, pansexual, and other categories, we need to show respect, acceptance, and support their identities and experiences. So this will actually help in challenging the biases and the stereotypes what we have, and foster a sense of belongingness. So also we need to talk to our own self. We need to challenge our own biases also, because there are some stereotypes and biases within ourselves. So we need to focus on that, challenge that, and continuously examine our own biases, assumptions, and the privileges. This is also going to be very beneficial as an ally to grow. Otherwise, we'll be clutched into them. And we need to also understand that allyship is an ongoing process. So it requires more humility, empathy, and commitment to actually challenge and dismantle the system of operation. So this is what I feel. This is what I feel. Yeah.
But there's so much to unpack there, and I'm going to deviate slightly because I describe the world as become so angry right now. If you look at studies that are now showing there's been a detraction for support for trans and our non-binary siblings. We've seen rhetoric after rhetoric. I watch conservative media, not because I agree with it, because I want to be informed of what people are saying. we're looking at reversal of rights being access to gender affirming healthcare is being rolled back in America, and it's influencing other countries. So what are some of the practical ways that we can be allies and speak up to create safe spaces for our trans and non-binary siblings?
I need to answer, or Martin, you're asking Martin?
Yeah, I was asking you. So do you have any practical steps to create safe spaces and to really help support vulnerable trans people, maybe at school?
Yeah, actually, when you talk about the Indian experience, it is like people are not accepting them the way it should be. So we have to take some small steps to create that space, and it is actually possible when you have a one-to-one conversation of the transgender community with the cisgender community. So if you have a dialogue between them, I think it is going to be wonderful, because once you listen to their stories, their experience, and enrich yourself by the literature, the research, so it is actually practically going to work. And this is what I do, and this is what I've experienced. It actually works.
Can you share some of those experiences? Because often there are biases within the community, and that could be racism, that could be
Yeah,
transphobia, biphobia. I'd love to
yeah,
share some of those experiences.
yeah. Actually, I just want to tell you my own experience. I was heading one of the Delhi University College for 3 years. So I made it a point that I opened a transgender cell and made a nodal officer also. So the basic purpose of those efforts was to create an inclusive society. As far as my domain was concerned, so I called at least 5 or 6 trans people, and they were engaging in the dialogue. And when they entered my college, my students started making fun of them because of the way they speak, because of the particular the personality they had, which I never liked. So once they started talking to my students in the college, so the experience were so heart touching that it actually changed the environment, and they started feeling very good, and they started relating to them, because where the struggle of the normal people they end, the struggle of the trans people start. They have so much to share, so much to talk on. So actually when the event was over, they wanted to have some more time, and they actually requested me to organize such more events, and I called it that the program as equality, where the male, female, and the trans were sitting on the dais and sharing their experiences, so which worked wonders. And this is what I actually I'm advocating to everyone, that unless and until you have a personal dialogue with the trans people, you will not even come to know, because what media says and what the book says, they don't have so much of meaning. Rather, when you actually converse with such people who are actually struggling with their own identities, it is actually going to make a difference. So this is
No,
what I
thank
feel, and this is what I did. Yes.
no, thank you for being an ally and creating spaces for all members of the community. Do you have any final tips or a final message you'd like to share?
You're muted.
Yeah. So there are 2, 3 things which I want to tell and add here. That first of all, you need to fight with your own self. You have to counter and conquer your own vices, in terms of actually educating yourself that everything is very, very natural, and there's nothing abnormal about being an LGBT from LGBTQ BTQ community. And secondly, You need to actually create and foster the environment, and say no to rejection. And you don't have to be judgmental as far as the sexual orientation of some other person is concerned. You need to be very patient, listen to them, validate their identity, respect them, communicate with them, and definitely connecting with the community is definitely going to make a lot of difference. They should feel respected. And if you're able to create a sense of belongingness, it is going to be wonderful. So we need to actually, if you talk about a cisgender, we need to attend some good events which are especially of LGBTQ community, and organize some pride parades, and consider them as a family, and show them some respect and solidarity. And also you need to stand up if your own children are saying that they want to be from the transgender community, or so please stand up with them. And also stand up for your own children's right and wellness. Be an advocate within your family, school, and community. So unless and until we conquer such small events, we are not going to make the world inclusive place for them. So we need to take the baby steps from your home, from your family, and be patient. Try and understand their struggle, be a part of their struggle, be very, very supportive. And we need to also celebrate, the LGBTQ community milestones if they achieve anything good. So you need to demonstrate your commitment to their identity and help them feel proud and connected to the community. And also,
So brilliant.
yeah, so we need to be very positive about such things. This is what I
No,
want to say.
brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time and your advice. It was lovely listening with you and learning from you. And thanks for your allyship. So I would like to speak with Uche, who has such a remarkable story. So Uche, I've been following you on LinkedIn for a very short period of time. Can you just tell people a bit more about what you do and how you're helping actually forge relationships within the LGBTQ plus community?
Yes. Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone. Uche here, Nigerian American. I like to say that I am a walking contradiction. I have always been, ever since I was a kid, born in a little city called Aba that has a negative reputation in Nigeria. If you're Nigerian, you probably do understand that, being from Aba is not something to brag about, if that makes any sense. And then also struggling with my sexuality as a queer man, same gender loving man, Black person moving to America eventually, being the immigrants, being Black, being African. So these are things that constantly I've always been told are wrong with me. And for so long, I try to conform to it and try to bend myself and morph myself to fit into the world's perspective of who I need to be before I could fit in. And I feel like every single time I did that, I lost a piece of me. And I was just exuding too much negativity, too much negative energy, and I perpetuated my own pain. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom. I faced homelessness in 2013, lost some relationship with families. Um, it was a hot mess, to say the least, that I feel like I didn't have any choice. It was a situation of, are you going to sit in the bottom or get back up? Because you can't sink lower than this. And then that was when I decided to take charge of my life and do something and listen to Uche for the very first time in my life. And the way I describe this period of my life is, it felt as though I was walking through a neighborhood that I know I had never been through before, yet it felt so familiar. It felt right. I didn't know what I was doing, but it felt right for the very first time. So I decided to take that leap of faith and keep walking. And every single time I walked like Uche, I always saw the universe rewarding me 100%. So I started following that and, tapping into my philosophy inclination. And I started to seeing what I call the pattern. And I developed naturally this passion to teach other people how they too can tap into that pattern. Now, of course, a lot of my work focus, it's not just LGBTQ, but of course LGBTQ, but I don't even know if to say unfortunately or fortunately to say. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, when you think LGBTQ is very white, is very white male dominated. You know, of course, within the American space, there's hyphenated Black American LGBTQ, Latin American LGBTQ, things like that. But as an African, I've seen so many Africans here in America and also in my travels who are LGBTQ. The number is mad, yet is silence. And I've seen so many people who are older than me or younger than me who are struggling, some of the things that I've had to struggle with. And to the point it almost brought me to tears so many times. So I decided to take charge to do something to focus specifically on that group, the Africans who are LGBTQ and struggling with their sexuality. And this is why I started my life coaching. So life coaching is something that I've done for a couple of years, actually.
If we just kind of break this down a little bit more, because you've shared so many nuggets in that beautiful summary. So my husband is from Ghana, so I have an understanding as an ally. And I think it's often the spaces are white gay men get more of the opportunities. You just talked about the neighborhood, you know, creating that neighborhood. So what can we do to create just a more inclusive neighborhood for all members of the LGBTQ plus community and really help Black and African LGBTQ plus people?
Okay, so I'm going to answer everything philosophically. I'm a very deep person. A lot of what I challenge people to do is put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I think every single day, the vain, pretentious society we live in teaches us the complete opposite, separation of identity. But emotional intelligence is literally the only antidote to all the madness going on in the world. Pause and put yourself in somebody else's situation. Unfortunately, because of how the word is so vain, we reduce everything to physicality. They don't look like me. They don't sound like me. They don't have my passport. They're not me type of situation. But putting yourself in somebody's situation is not just, you know, on the surface level. Trace their background type of situation. You know, a person who was born in this country, raised in this country, raised in this situation and things like that is more likely to act like this. I'm not necessarily excusing your negative behaviors per se, but I'm going to be humble and intentional enough to put myself in your situation and trace why that behavior could possibly come from you. And I'll treat you with love like I would like to be treated if I were to be in your situation. And I know this is something that's very difficult to do, but every single one of us, we're humans and we would like to be treated with intentionality and emotional intelligence. So I believe that everything goes around. Like whatever you do comes right back to you. All right. If you're going to be pushing negativity into the world to somebody else who looks different from you, best expect that it'll come right back to you.
I just think about the fear that we have in the world, right? The fear mongering that we have in the world right now. And I think the last 5-6 years, we've kind of really gone back a little bit on accepting people and the additional challenges that has created for people in many communities. It goes without saying you should always treat somebody with dignity, courtesy, respect. Start from a place of inclusion, always. Walking in somebody's shoes. Now, I've struggled with depression at various stages of my life, and last year I had terrible depression whilst I was organising the biggest event of my life, the World Gay Boxing Championships, enabling people of our community to participate in an environment where they feel welcomed and accepted. What advice or tips or strategies do you have for anybody who may be suffering with their mental health or depression or anxiety to really help them navigate these challenges, which they shouldn't have to face, but unfortunately, the world isn't as caring and compassionate as we would like it to be?
Yes, Martin. Depression, anxiety often go together. This is something that a lot of us, especially within the community, we're very familiar with. My understanding of depression, and I also talk about this in my coaching practice, is depression is triggered by reality of what is and how much it does not coincide with what we think ought to be. So there's the illusion of what should be, and then there's a reality of what is. And when you are thinking that what is not good enough, and what should be, the illusion should be, it creates this imbalance in your head and lowers your vibration. And because it lowers your vibration, you're not able to you're not able to perform at your most authentic, highest self. And as a result, you leave traces of pain and suffering as you go. And your past, as a result of that movement, is pain and suffering. And because you're seeing pain and suffering, and pain perpetuates itself, right? So you can see how a lot of that will be perpetuated in the future, and that creates anxiety. And that's why depression and anxiety kind of often go hand in hand. What I do when these two things start knocking on the door, like the imbalance of what should be, what is reality, and what should be, I think should be illusion, is making peace with what is, because it is what it is. Um, doesn't I know it sounds very surface level, and it could be applied to so many different situations, so many different people, and so many different places. But I believe that making peace with what is the first step. And one of the ways that we can do it is, what I call fasting, walking away from distractions that have been put in place. Distractions of social media, distraction of the internet, and all kinds of things that are telling you of this illusion that ought to be is what you need to emulate. But also, I think it's very important to follow the love. Okay, go where the love is. Um, as human beings, inevitably, you're going to have love. You're going to have people who genuinely love you. You're going to have people who are unbothered, neutral about you, and you're going to have that hate. It's just the human package. And although the hate is very little, it stinks up the room so much. And this is it's just human. But if you have genuine love in your life, whoever that person is, whatever that person is, follow that. That person refuse your reality of what is, and they'll help you lean into what is and make peace with what is. After you intentionally lean into what is, then you can move with what is into the future while maximizing your highest being with what is, and let go of that illusion. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. So with the boxing championships, I had to go to the police twice. One was a cyber stalker who wouldn't stop messaging me, and another one was a threatening email. And I'm the type of person where I will say something or I will do something. What happened is I found support through like sharing our stories. So the what is was I wasn't prepared to put up with any type of abuse, because the more we allow people to continue that behavior without any form of consequences, it encourages and it inspires that negative behavior. Whereas when we speak up for ourselves, but also for others within the LGBTQ plus and all communities, we're able to at least stand firm and stop that behavior. But the gift of humanity, the gift of friendship, reaching out saying, people, this has happened to me again. I had floods of phone calls, floods of support, and you inspire that support. So for anybody who's watching this right now, who kind of feels they can't tell another person that they're gay, bi, lesbian, trans, queer, intersex, asexual, pan, or other sexualities or gender identities in the communities, what message of hope do you have? How do you inspire people to be courageous, to achieve vitality, and live a better life?
Yes. It's going to sound as cliche, but I'm going to try to break it down as much as possible. Charity begins at home. You will never, I promise you, no, it doesn't matter who you are. No one will love you unless you love yourself. I promise you that. It doesn't matter how good looking you think you are, how rich you are. You need to work in yourself first. And there are resources out there. A lot of people just, they're lazy about these resources because it's human to prioritize things, right? If you want a new car, you don't just walk into any parking lot and pick whatever first car you see. You're intentional with buying a new car. You're intentional with buying a new house. You're intentional with picking a partner. You're intentional with picking, the right, even if the right alcohol, drink, or whatever it is. So why not be intentional in getting the help you need? There are resources out there, mental health advocacy out there, right? Unfortunately, so many people have negative experiences when it comes to therapy, but that's because one, mental health has such a negative connotation to it. Mental health is also so bastardized. A lot of times people have this negative opinion walking into therapy anyway. But the thing is, most people just pick that first therapy or therapist. You have that negative opinion, it doesn't work, and you just walk away and be like, I'm not doing this again. You have to shop around. There's a therapist out there who speaks your language, and I don't mean this in literal form. So seek therapy, right? Read, podcast. There's so much, like, what a time to be alive. Information technology, the internet, and the computers have brought so much access to information from all around the world. If you truly are intentional to learning how to love yourself, it is there. Just don't be lazy. And I know it sounds kind of like defeatist, for a person who's going through mental health issues and low self-esteem and things like that. But the universe is truly waiting for you to move. Only you can save yourself. And that process is painful. It's bumpy. I've been there. But trust me, you would not exist if you couldn't handle it. And this is my spirituality speaking. There's a reason why you are, for the lack of better words, the sperm that won. There's a reason. You can handle it, but you just have to move. And you have to be as intentional as possible. The same way you're intentional in buying your best clothes, picking your spouse, picking this, picking that, you have to be intentional in learning how to love yourself. Also, you have to, part of that process is being intentional to walk away from distractions. And this world is crawling with distractions. You have to limit encounter with the world. The word is here to tell you that you're not good enough. What is reality is not good enough. What should be, ought to be, the illusion is what you need to aim for. Be as intentional as possible, walk away from that. Now, once you start doing that, something magical happens. And I promise you this, right? You will have people, once you start beginning that process of being intentional to love yourself, you will have people who will love you for who you are. No matter how small it is, focus your energy on those people. You will have people who don't think your lisp bothers them, your accent bothers them, your hair bothers them, you having a bald head bothers them, being LGBTQ, whatever it is, because there's so much more to you. You have to understand this body you see, it's sort of like a garment. The real thing, the real person is within. Those people will be able to connect with you, and you will feed each other's energy and light, and you will grow. And once again, it will feel as though you're walking through a neighborhood that you have never been through before, yet it'll feel familiar. Just keep feeding your soul, and it only gets better.
Wow, that's such a beautiful story. That's such a beautiful way of seeing the world and getting access to the right help. So tomorrow I'm speaking at an event for the local health district, and it's about consumer advocacy, because one thing I've been able to do is use my experience as having a rare disease and being supported by the healthcare system to improve things for others. So my final question for you is, what are a couple of things people can do to improve things for you?
To improve things for me specifically as Uche, or you just talking about?
As Uche, because you're such a trailblazer and you're really pushing through many barriers. And I think there are a couple of things that people aren't aware of that they can help you, because when you help Uche, you can help many people. So what are the things that people can do to help Uche? Because when Uche's helped, Uche helps so many others.
Of course. It's a lot of what I say sounds very cliche, but I promise you they're not. Let the spirit lead. Let the spirit lead. And this spirit leading comes from a place of egolessness. And egolessness is something that's extremely difficult for humans to do unless when we are triggered by extreme pain, sorrow, or laying on our deathbed, the ego disappears magically. And then it dawns on you that, oh my God, I could have done better. But let the spirit lead, which is why I tell people to walk in silence. When you let the spirit lead, put yourself in my situation, emotional intelligence. If you were an Uche, what would you need? If you were an Uche who had the passion that Uche has, the story that Uche has, the message that Uche has, and someone else had the opportunity to help Uche, how could you help Uche? Just doing that alone, replacing yourself with somebody else does so much wonder in healing the world. It could be a situation of you don't even speak Uche's language, but because you put yourself in Uche's situation, the spirit could lead you to someone that you know who speaks Uche's language. Connect Uche with that person who speaks Uche's language. And this is something that I urge everyone to do in every walk of life. Let the spirit lead and put yourself in that person's situation. If the spirit leads and you put the person in a situation and the spirit leads you to be neutral, be neutral. Don't do anything else, but never do any harm. And if you're in a situation of adding to positivity to that person's life, do it in a place of love that doesn't require reciprocity.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Uche. Thank you so much, Professor Namita. What we've had today is a conversation.
Yeah, I would like to add just 2, 3 lines, which I've specially written for this particular event. In the realm of allyship, I stand, embracing the transgender souls hand in hand. Through these self experiences, I have come to see the beauty of self expression, wild and free. I amplify your voice, your truth uncurled. Together, we will create a more inclusive world.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well, it's a huge round of applause here in Sydney. As a community, we grow. You look at the smiles right now, we've all connected. We're all in various parts of the world, but we're a virtual global community there to help and support each other. So if you can think about how you can be more humble, more confident, more courageous, then think about the difference that you can make to yourself and others within the LGBTQIA plus community and other communities. My nan is the person who I'm inspired by. Within 5 minutes of entering her house, you have a cup of tea, and she had a sharp tongue that she would use when she saw somebody being bullied. She would be the first person to say something. So whether that be a cup of tea, one of her famous pastries, or saying something, you were made to feel welcome. She was well known. She would always play bingo and she would always win because she was sharp, but she enjoyed the experience of being with other people. So if you can bring yourself to the table, but also enjoy so that other people can join you at the table, what a better world we'll have. So thank you to watching. Thank you to listening. Thank you for being here today. Thanks very much. Cheers. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, EJ.
Oh, I wanted to add, I don't know if you guys are cutting off. I wanted to add, I'm also a public speaker. So if you guys have any speaking opportunities, speaking gigs, panels, anything like that, I know you're a TED Talk speaker. You did a TED Talk in the past. So if you have any type of opportunities for me, based on everything that I've shared today and some of the things you've seen on LinkedIn, please do not hesitate to forward my way. And also reach out to me anytime to discuss.
Brilliant, thank you. Anything further you would like to add, Professor Namita?
Yes, I would like to add just 1 or 2 more points here. Like there are some very unique challenges which the transgender individuals face. It is basically about the process of transitioning which involves aligning their gender identity with their physical, appearance. So this transitioning can include the various aspects like social transitioning, changing their name, pronouns, and presentations, medical transitioning, that is the hormone therapy, the surgeries, and the legal transitioning, that is updating their identification documents. So, what I feel is that as a cisgender, I should be supporting them in all these endeavors by active listening to them, by helping them in finding out some good local resources which can really help them in doing all these three kinds of transitionings, support during their medical appointments, and also assist them in the legal documentation, because their struggle begins and ends with the documents, right? So we need to help them and offer some practical support in terms of sometimes they face a lot of medical challenges, financial challenges. So we should really help them, and especially in their resume writing, in connecting with the rest of the world, by providing some resources, financial resources, medical resources, whatever we can, in whatever way we can, and almost like standing up for them against any kind of a discrimination. And definitely, as a cisgender, if I also feel that they are being discriminated or mistreated, so actually, I raise my voice and I genuinely feel for them, because we are having the same blood, and the blood is red. It's not that the transgender will have a different color blood. So I actually relate with their experience. I feel for them, and that is why I've become an ally of transgender, who's willing to learn, adapt, respect, spread awareness in this regard. So this is what I do.
No, brilliant. Thank you so much for your allyship. So thanks everybody for your time and attention, and we'll see you at the next event.
Thank you.
Thanks. So
Thank
did my
you.
best,
Thank you.
everybody. Did my
Thank you.
best. I thought it was a good host for you.
Yeah, I want to say, Dr. Professor Namita, a shout out to you for what you do as a cisgender woman in India. I know how it could be very challenging in a country that is not in the West, being outspoken for the forgotten minority. So I genuinely appreciate when I see allyship that is not just word of mouth. Like you're actually actively
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm inspired by what's happening in India because I'm just seeing a beacon of light for acceptance.
We have a
Connected with
transgender act passed in 2019. So I spread that awareness, and also with there's a institution called PhD Chambers of Commerce in India. So we do the different kind of programs with them, even the talent hunt of the transgender. So I'm an active participant of that, and I always moderate either the trans man or the trans woman and make their voices like wide and clear, open, so that the culture is different. Once you talk on these things, the culture is different. So slowly, I see the environment is changing and evolving, and it is towards the positive side. And when I started doing it, it was different, and now it is different. And in the coming years, it will be definitely a very, very normal thing to have trans people around us. So this is what actually I have a transgender brigade working for me. So all my students are also impressed by the work. So we have come up with a lot of literature, and I'm coming out with a book of transcending boundaries, a handbook for the transgender people, so that we are able to spread the vocabulary of, because people are not conversant with the even the word queer, even the word cisgender. So we're just trying to spread some basics, and on the basics we will build uh, the dialogue, and the dialogue can the civil engagement and talking to people more often about it will is definitely going to give mileage to our transgender friends and make the world a more inclusive place to live, a more happy place to live.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful to see. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and just seeing some of my friends who I've connected from the community, how they're flourishing, and just seeing their successes, and seeing more companies coming on board as supporters. I just wish all of the world would start being more inclusive and just having the courage to do what's happening in India across the rest of the world.
So we'll have such more programs, open discussion forums quite often, so that we are able to create that environment that whatever we are talking about is absolutely normal. There's nothing abnormal about it. It's just that we are talking, spreading acceptance, awareness.
Cool. All right. So, and any further points from you, Uche?
No, not at all. I thank you so much for choosing me to be part of this panel. This is very enlightening. I appreciate it. And if there's any more opportunities in the future, do not hesitate to invite me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
Well, I want to thank all of you for something wonderful. I really want to tell you to continue your work. It's a lonely journey when you're in midst of people who discriminate against you, especially when you don't even know. Because sometimes we be in a mix of people who discriminate against us, who may say disparaging things against us, but they turn around and say, hey, how are you? You think that is a genuine one. It's not. So I encourage you guys to be able to speak out, be able to support one another, and as far as we can on this platform, know that this platform also is your platform. If you happen to organize something that you think that could help in the effort to get more people to at least gain humility, gain a sense of being fluid in discussing these issues and learning, because some of these things come as a result of ignorance. I had a book I wrote, which is what Adam is showing here, where I contend that we are all shaped by our environments. And by the time we get to school, it's too late. We can lie about it, dodge it, and act as if it never existed, but far remains. When it comes to the core of decision making, we don't have any other place but to go there. And if you have a second, I want to use this opportunity to introduce my friend, my boss, and the guy who found something in me that did so much for me, including getting me to serve as a dean, who is now doing something around the globe. And this is Dr. Feinstein, and he's here. And if you would have a few minutes to wait for me to get him to just introduce himself, and we intend to use what he's doing because he's working globally. That's what we need. That's the only thing that will save the world. I was looking at what is happening in African countries, and they say, oh, this person came and overthrew the government. The question for me is, why did he overthrow the government? People don't tell the truth. And provided we lie to ourselves, we're never going to get it right. Dr. Feinstein, could you come in and talk to these, my friends, just for a few minutes? And then we're going to discuss as to how your effort is going to move forward. Hey, here he is. I think you're in mute or something like that. She can't hear you. Mr. Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Nwoye. Just checking from the
Can you
studio.
check on Dr. Feinstein to know what's going on?
We are fine at our end. Just waiting for Dr. Feinstein to maybe plug in his headset or check on his computer at his end. I think we've got some sound there, Dr. Feinstein. we should do any moment now.
Well, since she's trying to get in, I want to thank you guys. You guys did wonderful work. I appreciate each and every one of you.
Yeah, we don't have that currently, unfortunately. That may be just a mechanical.
Adam, are you the one working on it, or is she having an issue with it?
It's a local issue at Dr. Feinstein's end. I'll just wait for a second, but so far, no, unfortunately, no luck. So I just have to mute that for the moment.
All right. Well, Dr. Feinstein, if it doesn't work, we have ample opportunity to work on it, and then I think members of SDIG would like to get some sense of the work you are doing globally, and hopefully benefit those who may be interested in taking something that will elevate them to next level without the kind of costs associated with graduate work and doctoral work and stuff like that. So it would have been nice if you had been able to speak with them briefly. Oh gosh, it didn't work. All right. Well, guys, thank you very much. And if you have any question, as I said, consider this as your forum. If you have anything you want to share, don't hesitate. You can call Adam, you can call me, you can call Chazia, who is our coordinator for communication, and she's doing a superb job. I'm just so excited that we have her.
A big thank you for her for organising this event as well and coordinating everything.
Yeah, one more point I want to make before you guys leave. If you see that Jerry Joseph is someone who has he's impressed me. He was suggested to come to us by someone who had done some work globally, and the work they did encompassed getting people from all over the world and training them in technology and so many other things. And he became the teacher among those people, and his team won. Now he's a superb person in web design, and he's really helping us. And he has, indicated that he wants to do website for anybody who doesn't have that to support them. But it's gonna be static web design. But if you want something more elaborate and with bells and whistles, then he will charge you, not like other people. But he's part of our team, and 2 other people he's working with. So now let's go back to Chair Feinstein. I think he may be on now. Can you hear me, Dr. Feinstein?
How about, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Can give us a brief about the work you are doing globally, let's say,
Well, what it is, in Planet Startup, it started at Harvard, was doing some work at Princeton and Stanford, but the idea was a global entrepreneurial program called the Entrepreneurial Academy. And what we do is we teach people how to set up online companies, make money, how to do a quick business plan. And then at the end, it's something like Shark Tank, where we get a lot of people together and they set up partnerships. And we have these global prosperity zones that keep expanding, because capitalism in itself is a great incentive, because they make money. They could make more money by teaching others to work with them. And that's what's happening in Ghana. It's happening in the Philippines and other places. The other problem was, this is for, and Brazil, I mean, I on our site, you'll see all the places. But the interesting thing was, people kept saying, you're always doing this for the disadvantaged. How about the advantaged, or everyone? So what we did is we were trying to set up a free college program. And going around, there was a guy who I met years ago. You might have heard of him, Michael Saylor. And he, was in Bitcoin. He started a company called MicroStrategies. And he's got a personality like Elon Musk at about $2 billion. And I didn't even know he remembered me. I got this call. He says, "You've got this global community. I have this platform. We're going to do free college education for everyone." So what we're doing now is having undergraduate classes that are accredited by the American Council on Education. They're free. Now you can take them either as certificate mode or for credit. And then we have something that we're getting accredited in the process of doing it now, which is an MBA program in 2 flavors, one technology and the other is international business. It will be accredited by the SACS, which is the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And that should be available probably late next year. And we're working in prisons, we're working in refugee camps, we're doing some work in Afghanistan so that women can be in the home and go to school and get degrees. And everybody we talk to and partner with has another way of doing this. We're doing some work in the Congo, we're doing some work in a lot in Brazil. And again, this is not for everyone. So what we're looking at is not equality, but equity. And that's an important difference there. And we're not looking at what kind of person you are, what kind of this, what. The only kind of person we want is somebody who has decent enough time management skills to go through this program. We also have personal development classes that you can take. And again, it's all online and it's AI based, so it's completely scalable. And that's what we're doing. Now, Dr. Nwoye, what happens, people tell me that why are you doing that? You're going to replace professors. I said, no, what we're doing, now you know that, I do too, because I was a professor. What we're doing is replacing the professors that look at a book and copy what they see on the blackboard, the same notes and all that. And I've had people like that. So what happens, we get rid of those kind, and we have the professors who go beyond, the mundane stuff that can actually light a fire in people's minds and get things going. That's what we're doing. And anyone wants information on it can contact me. But the other thing that I wanted to comment on, I put it up in the Q&A. I was also on some theater boards and at universities where we set up meetings for these communities that we talked about here. And as Dr. Nwoye knows, after we finish something, we always have, how did you like it? What kind of questions do you have? And all that. And the people, very serious people who are there because they want to learn something, they said a few things. All these things, it's probably good, but I didn't understand what they're saying because I don't know the vocabulary. I don't know what all these categories are. And then another said, I'm afraid to ask a question because they're sensitive enough to understand that there's minefields out there. Some things are politically incorrect. And not knowing that, they'll sit there and not be engaged. However, there was something that we did at it's the Outre Theater Group in South Florida, where we had somebody come in and actually sit on a stage and engage the audience. And in the beginning said, hey, look, I know what the problem is. If you have any questions on definitions, let me know. And it was something that resonated with the community, because if you go out and say, rural Kansas, you're going to have a different community than you're going to have in Cambridge, Massachusetts, on just this topic that we discussed today. So my only comment here is it might be good to start any conversation on that like that, knowing there's a lot of people in the audience who might not have a clue, but they're good people and they're interested in learning more. So that's all I can add here. But again, if anyone wants to know what we're doing or wants to take some free classes and learn more, I think Joseph, you've got the information I sent out. Just feel free to share it. If anybody wants any specifics, contact me. Does that help?
Sure. Well, for those of you who don't know Dr. Feinstein, Dr. Feinstein was my boss. As a matter of fact, we
were very good friends too.
He was one of those that made me dean, and he was someone whom I respect so much. And I think the type of work he's doing now, I think that might be what will save the world. Whether you're talking about United States, where you have the poor and the rich, everyone going his or her way, things are getting really difficult for those who have not been able to make it. And they don't have opportunity to make it. But some people will say, oh, they're lazy or whatever they may concoct in their heads. But the point is that he is doing something really, really admirable. And to that end, Dr. Feinstein, I think I'm going to have Adam to set up a time that you can do this, because I know how you come across with things, so that we can present this thing in a way that other members of SDIG who may be interested in it, that in fact they can benefit from it, can engage with you and be able to see what they can do with it. Now, if anybody has questions, please, you can go ahead and ask him. Otherwise, we may be winding down.
Yeah, I want to add real quick. I do have to go. I'm very behind on schedule. So do you guys have any questions for me or anything before I hop off last minute? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. Okay. And thank you so much, Dr. Nwoye.
Well, I salute you guys. Keep working. It's not easy. We've, in one way or another, been subjected to situation we all face. I always thought that I can say the world is good everywhere. Well, I can also say that the world is good, but human beings made it what it becomes. And until we have people who are forcefully articulating things the way they should be, don't fear. Martin usually says, I think he still carries it, courage. I say, okay. So we should be courageous in taking steps to righting the wrong of yesteryears. So on that, I can say to you, thank you so much for coming. And Adam, please communicate with Dr. Feinstein and find a time that you can get him to do something good that you can put to the members of SDIG that may want to use those services. I would really appreciate it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. You take care. And Martin, keep really moving, shaking them up, shaking them everywhere. So keep the good work.
All right.
And Uche, stay well, and you've heard what I said, okay?
Thank you.
All
everybody.
right. On that note, I will say thank you. And Diana, if you are still there, if you have a few minutes, I would like to talk with you before you leave. Otherwise, goodbye to everyone.
Bye now.
All right. I'll be talking to you soon, Dr. Feinstein.
Thank you.
All right. You take care.